Hey everybody, this is me. Today I wanted to do a live video real quick to talk about using oils intuitively. I hear so many people that are, maybe they see how I do it, and I tend to have a really, long memory for details, and they say, oh, I can't do that. I can't memorize what every oil is for. I can't I can't remember that frankincense does this or lavender does that or lemon is for that other thing. And so they think it's really hard. And it actually doesn't have to be hard at all. So when I first started using oils, I learned some basics. And after that, increasingly, I have used my intuition to choose oils. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about a little bit today. But it just so happens that today is part of doTERRA's BOGO week, which they only do this about twice a year. And for 5 days, they'll have a different special every single day. And it just so happens that Thursday's special is, so far, a really amazing special. What it is frankincense and jasmine. So if you buy a frankincense touch, which is a roller bottle pre-diluted with frankincense and coconut oil, you get jasmine essential oil for free. That's a pretty phenomenal deal. And if you caught some of my other lives before, you will know that my number one oil is frankincense. If you don't know what to use, frankincense. So I actually kind of hoard frankincense. When I switched oil companies a while back, that was actually one of my top concerns was, I'm not going to be ordering oils for a while. Will I have enough frankincense to get through this? And so it's definitely something that I stock up on. If you only have one bottle of frankincense in your house, you're doing it wrong. Have more frankincense. So jasmine is another really amazing oil. This is actually one that I have wanted for a long time, and it's relatively new for doTERRA to carry jasmine. And it's not really, it's definitely a floral scent, but it's not that overwhelmingly cloying. If you've ever smelled geranium, it's not overwhelming in that way. And jasmine is a really fantastic oil to use for emotional support. It's a bit of a floral aroma. There's also something a little bit like woodsy and almost smoky about it. It's a very mild scent. Jasmine has also been used for centuries in childbirth and as an aphrodisiac. So it's a really beautiful oil, especially used in combination with frankincense. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. But like I said, there are some base rules about choosing and using oils intuitively. And I wanted to talk about some bare basics about essential oils. If you're new to using oils, you'll notice that some of them will say, dilute these oils before using them, but a lot of them you don't have to. So certain oils can actually burn your skin. They'll be very sensitizing, very they can cause like a burning or like a warm sensation. Those ones you really want to dilute. That would include things like cinnamon, definitely oregano. The On Guard blend has cinnamon and cassia in it. Cassia is like white cinnamon. It's another variant of that plant. All of those are warming oils. Ginger is another one that you're going to probably want to dilute before using it topically, because there's a warming, and also some of the herbaceous oils like thyme, rosemary even, depends on your skin sensitivity. But things like wild orange or lavender or even frankincense, you don't have to dilute those. So beyond the basics of knowing these are the hot oils or the warm oils, for instance, peppermint, don't put that anywhere near your mucous membranes. But beyond that, most oils you can either, beyond knowing the basics of these oils are hot or warm and they should be diluted, you have a lot of overlap. That's one of the wonderful things about essential oils. Yes, there's like a huge reference book, and if you want to get super technical and find like the best oil for this particular issue that you're having, you can do tons of research and find it. There's a lot of information out there, and more is coming out every day because people are realizing more and more how beneficial essential oils can be as part of, taking care of yourself naturally and proactively. One of the things that I really, really, really love about doTERRA is that, yes, they're an essential oils company, but they are also a holistic wellness company. They're on a mission to bring holistic wellness to the masses in an attainable, easy to use way. And so they do talk a lot about good nutrition. They talk a lot about sleep. They talk a lot about taking away stress, managing stress. They talk about fitness and moving your body. And they also talk about reducing our toxic load. Toxic load isn't something that people have talked about maybe, in the last 20 years ago. Toxic load wasn't really a topic on most people's agenda, but it's coming more and more as a mainstream awareness, because we increasingly live in a society, especially in America, where there are, there's toxins that are in our foods. There are things that have not been properly tested. The amount of testing that goes in might be, a year or 2 years worth of a study, and they go, it's fine, just put it in the food supply. And a lot of things that Americans eat, for instance, and a lot of things that Americans put on their skin, there are ingredients in there that are banned in other countries. And so it is something to look at, because maybe our testing and our, overall commercial awareness is not necessarily as vigilant as it should be, as it could be, in protecting ourselves. And so we really have to be proactive in protecting ourselves from environmental toxins. If you are familiar with the medical medium, you may have heard of this. It's a guy named Anthony William. He has some best-selling books out there, and he reaches a very wide array of people, because he has like a voice that talks to him and tells him about, these are the foods that you should eat to heal these issues. And he's very upfront and clear. I have no medical degree. I have no training in this. This is just what seems to work. This is what I'm told. And he's becoming a sensation, because so many people have been so very benefited by his advice, ourselves included. We are on the celery juice train, thanks to Medical Medium. We have a great juicer, and we love drinking our celery juice. And it really, that's part of our, supporting a healthy lifestyle and giving our bodies the tools that it needs to do what it does best. Like, our bodies are meant to heal. Our natural state is wellness. And so it's not a matter of, oh, I have bad genes, or, oh, I have this diagnosis, so I'm doomed. It's really, and, science is going to catch up with us as time goes on, to affirm that the truth is that our bodies are always trying their very best to heal, and our natural state of being is vitality and wellness. And so that's one of the things that I love about doTERRA, is that every aspect of the things that they sell and offer have to do with improving our body's ability to help itself. So healthcare as self-care. That is a mission I can totally get behind. And it's a body-mind connection. There is so much that I think modern medical science kind of ignores. We look at everything in terms of parts. My husband actually sprained his ankle this week, and that's been a crazy fiasco. And we weren't entirely sure, if it was broken or not. And so we do almost everything without thinking of, oh, what would the, mainstream medical model do? This is one of those times where you're like, okay, we need to check. We need to get some x-rays, see what's happening here. It's not broken, thank goodness. But it's one of those things where they didn't ask a thing about, what are you eating and how are you caring for yourself? And, they didn't even ask what his job was. No attention to that at all. It's just, there's an issue with a component, and so we have to fix the component, and it's treated as a separate thing. But everything is integrated. Everything is connected. I am connected to you. You are connected to me. We are all connected to the most beautiful and amazing things and people in the world, as well as the most, base and terrible things in the world. It's all connected, including our thoughts and our feelings. And so I think that's how, again, having that baseline of beyond, don't use these particular oils on your skin without diluting them, choosing oils intuitively is a beautiful and viable way of not having to memorize the textbooks. And, you know, if you're not like me and you're not a big old nerd and you don't want to memorize every little bit of, you know, lavender is good for this laundry list of issues, you don't have to remember all of that stuff and, you know, be a walking reference guide, because A, there's apps for that, and B, there's books for that, but C, don't discount your intuition. So a lot of times, I'll tell you a couple stories. So when I was a little kid, my mother was more into natural things. Like, she was still very, she had a lot of fear, and she was still very, like, fear-based in what, you know, where her beliefs were at. But she did have a very strong, intuitive pull to treating, you know, taking care of her health and my health naturally. And so one of the things that she heard about was this Australian miracle oil, tea tree oil. And back then, her, you know, there was no internet. This was like 1984. She was researching things in the back of like the newsletter at the obscure little health food store that probably, you know, was about to go out of business because it couldn't make its rent. Like, this was really, really low tech. And then she'd have to like write a letter or maybe type it on the typewriter and mail away to get this obscure, strange product mailed all the way from Australia. But she did do that, and she was very just enthralled with tea tree oil. She had read about it. She'd read that it was like antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial, anti-everything. And while she never, back then we weren't really aware that there was, you know, an emotional component of physical illness yet. That wasn't, you know, entering into the mainstream consciousness until, you know, I mean, really, it's still kind of new now. But my mom unwittingly picked the perfect oil for herself for healing her own traumas, because tea tree, or melaleuca, is particularly good for people who have trouble with energetic boundaries. So my mother had a lot of trouble in her past with asserting herself, and she didn't really have a strong voice, and she wasn't really able to kind of, you know, put up those boundaries that say, you know, no, I don't want you to be treating me this way, or I'm not going to accept this. She had a lot of trouble with that. And she had this passion for tea tree oil. And as far as for me, I thought it was the stinkiest thing in the world when I was a kid. I was like, gross, get that stuff away from me. It's still a little bit, it's not my favorite oil, but it's grown on me. But reading about the emotional implications of what tea tree is good for, of course my mother loved it. It was calling out to her almost like a magnetic pull, because not only physically, because she had like issues with like, you know, nail fungus and things that she wanted to address, but it was also, you know, down to her lack of energetic boundaries that she needed to put in place. And I think it did help her to kind of gain some confidence and gain some awareness of, I'm allowed to protect myself. I don't know if you guys have seen that meme, you are not required to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. I think that would have been a good meme for my mama. She definitely felt like responsible for keeping others happy and content at her own expense. And that's what tea tree oil is good for. So it's really fascinating that she was able to pick that. And also another story about choosing an oil intuitively. You may be familiar with copaiba oil. If you're not familiar with that one, I'm sure you've heard of CBD. Everybody's all up in arms about CBD oil. It's like it's the version of cannabis that doesn't get you high. But it's really good for pain relief. And so a lot of people are having, you know, great responses to using CBD oil for, say, sleep, insomnia, and any kind of chronic pain issues, any kind of neurologic issues, neuralgia. Copaiba also works with the endocannabinoid system in our bodies. Yes, our brains produce cannabinoids. What? It's actually true. You can look it up. We have receptors in our brains and in our nervous system throughout our bodies that do pick up cannabinoids, which is why THC and or CBD work as well as they do on our systems. Copaiba oil also has a similar molecule that can connect with our endocannabinoid system. So it's an amazing oil for pain relief, for bruising. And so when I whacked the side of my hand on a windowsill recently, the pain was disproportionate to, I whacked it on the windowsill. Why is it hurting so much? So I looked at my oils and I just kind of, it's just a heart connection thing. I don't overthink it. This is one of those things, like, the intuition is not in your brain. You kind of got to just grab something and go with it. And so I almost, without even looking, I just kind of went, and I grabbed the Copaiba. And I was like, yeah, that seems all right. Logical, right? It's for bruising. Had a bruise on my hand, so I put that on there. And very quickly it did take away the pain. But then later on that day, I came across my Emotions and Essential Oils book, and I thought, I'll look up Copaiba. Let's see what it says. Copaiba is particularly beautiful at releasing past trauma and helping to kind of unlock emotional memories from the past that you weren't previously ready to deal with, but now you're ready to release them. And I thought that was really amazing, because the place on my hand where I had hit was the place where, when I was a teenager, self-harm was kind of my coping mechanism, and that was the place. So there was a lot of pain and sorrow and anger and fear and, distress, like, channeled into this spot on my physical body. And so it makes sense, retrospectively, that if I would injure my hand, it would kind of bring to the surface a lot of those emotions that, that maybe I wasn't able or willing to face when I was 14 or 15. But, 37 now. I've grown a lot since then, and it was time to kind of release some of that stuff. And so it was very interesting, because in applying the oil several times, it was also helping me to kind of revisit, wow, I had some tough times when I was a kid, but I'm okay now. Like, I've grown as a person, and it was very beautiful in helping me to release that. And I didn't, plan on going into all that. It was just that I hit my hand and wanted some relief, which I got. So the emotional component as well as the physical component were both addressed through the same oil. And that's why I especially love using oils intuitively. I get so many people that are like, it's too hard, I don't know what to pick. If in doubt, what are we going to use? Frankincense, lavender, Copaiba is another good one to go to. And if you want more information on the details of oils, especially if you want an oils 101 basics, I do have an ebook on that. So message me and I can send it to you if you like. But yeah, that is, more and more I end up just kind of picking something. And even my teenage daughter, maybe she'll burn herself. She does a lot of baking and she cooks and stuff, and maybe she's burned her hand or something, and she'll just go, what oil do I use? And I'm like, what's around? We have oils all over our house. I try to be pretty good about organizing my stuff, but there's probably oils in every room of my house, including the bathroom. So, what room are you in? What's in front of you? What do you have to use? And so sometimes it's frankincense, sometimes it's melaleuca, sometimes it's lavender, or anything else that we have on hand. And she's pretty good about, she knows that, like I said, barring the hot oils, you don't want to put oregano anywhere undiluted. Don't do it. It's very bad. A good friend of ours found that out the hard way. And so what if you do choose an oil and then, you're thinking, I got this, my intuition's good, and then you pick something and you're like, ow. So what do? You go in the kitchen and you get whatever carrier oil you have on hand. Olive oil's fine, coconut oil's fine, grapeseed oil's fine. Just some kind of natural oil. Rub that on there and then wash it off with soap and water. Then put more oil. Wash that off with soap and water. Do it however many times you need to do to make that, the pain go away. But even if you get, I don't recommend getting essential oils in your eyes. at all. But if it ever happens, like let's say, you just applied peppermint to the back of your neck or something for maybe you've got like, a little bit of a tension headache and you put peppermint oil in the back of your neck and then without thinking, you go and rub your eye. Maybe it didn't get in your eye. You'll still feel it. You can totally rub an oil, just a natural oil. If you've got a facial oil that has like argan or sea buckthorn or something good in there, that's great. You can do that too. You can also just use olive oil straight out of the kitchen and just kind of rub it over and then wipe it away with a warm washcloth. So even if you pick the wrong oil, you're safe. But again, choosing oils intuitively is so great. And once you start to work with them more, you'll know, for instance, maybe you're in a bad mood and citrus is this beautiful, uplifting kind of oil. I have used citrus when I was attending births as a doula. A lot of times I would pull out citrus oils. Maybe mama didn't like lemon, so maybe we'd do grapefruit, or maybe, maybe she loved bergamot, and so we'd do bergamot. Citrus oils in general, they have some differences, but generally speaking, they're uplifting, they're brightening, and that even goes with a mood. So my teenager has in the past struggled with depression, and so citrus oils are definitely a go-to, and go figure, her favorite, it goes between wild orange and lemon. So she has both of those in her room all the time, and maybe she'll diffuse them, maybe she'll put them on the bottoms of her feet, maybe she'll just put a drop in her hands, and it's a great way to just kind of reset your mood. Another, like I've worked with a lot of different emotional healing modalities over the years because, necessity is the mother of invention. And so a lot of time, like when I've been confronted with emotional things, I've looked into, okay, what kind of natural remedy can I use? And so I am trained in the Bach flower essences. If you've ever seen Bach Rescue Remedy, it's like a little yellow bottle. It looks like a tincture. It's basically homeopathic emotional medicine. So trauma, shock, fear, anger, any kind of thing like that, you can just put a couple of drops in your water and it works within like 20 seconds. It's a very quick, it addresses emotional states very, very quickly. But if I don't have, rescue remedy on hand, or if I don't have, if I'm out and about, I can't carry 38 different Bach flower essences with me. Like I have a trunk full at home, but essential oils a lot of times are a faster and more direct effect. And so if I'm stressed out and I need to calm down, lavender. Like I mentioned, my husband, we had to go to the emergency room. Do you know how long it's been since we have gone to a medical institution? It was, both of us, our anxiety levels were like through the roof. And so you can bet I had my oils. I heard the nurses commenting, oh, it smells good in here. Yeah, because we had our frankincense out, we had our lavender out, we had our lemon out, we had our wild orange, because all of that was helping to bring our anxiety levels down so that we could, have a pleasant experience and get through without feeling, crazy about, oh my gosh, we're in the hospital, this is scary. But it was fine, and it would have been fine even without my oils, I know that, but it was super nice to have this tool that was so easy to use to just, okay. And again, even just taking that deep breath, it's really helpful. And yeah, like I said, I really think that in the future, people will just have oils on hand as part of like a natural thing. Like, oh, you carry Kleenex in your purse, you carry, eye drops. Oh, of course you've got lavender in your purse. That's totally normal. That's going to be like a standard thing. Everybody's going to have their frankincense bottle in their purse. And it's going to be, more usable and accessible because it's so easy and simple to just bring in. So I don't know. Hopefully I've covered what I wanted to cover about using these things emotionally instead of like scientifically. You don't have to bust out the reference guide for every single thing. Just grab an oil and try it. See what happens. It's really, the more you use them, the more you realize what you can use them for. And it's been a long time since I haven't used oils. Like every single day there's something that I reach for multiple times a day. And it's not like, for things that are big and small, like frankincense, being our BOGO special right now, is such a great oil because frankincense is really like the king of oils, the gold standard. I mean, it was, you know, the gift of the Magi from thousands of years ago. Frankincense has always been used for both the mundane and the divine, the spiritual, for so long. And that's because it's so practical and, you know, usable for anything. It's really good. I'm trying to find my frankincense. I don't have a roller ball of it, but I just have my bottle of frankincense. But this is, it's such a beautiful oil because it's good for your skin. I use it for like summer skin protection. I live in Texas. It's really hot, like, and so I don't use it when I go outside, like, but when after you come in and you know you maybe you've got too much sun, your skin's a little pink, frankincense is wonderful to kind of bring some extra circulation to that area. And frankincense also, it helps your cells to regenerate. Like on a cellular level, it's supporting like proper growth and development. And so frankincense is amazing to be used, you know, maybe you've got a cut or a scrape. Frankincense is great, but also maybe you're facing some, you know, much bigger, more serious kind of illness. Frankincense is also supportive in helping the body to heal from those things as well. And again, frankincense also, it kind of connects you with like a more spiritual, more calming, if that makes sense. Like it gives you energy, but it's not the kind of jittery, crazy energy. It's not like the go-get-em energy like peppermint. It's more of a centering and a grounding, an anchoring to like your higher self, if that makes sense. I love frankincense for so many things. And again, if you buy a bottle of frankincense touch today only, and that's the roller bottle, pre-diluted, how easy does it get? You get jasmine for free. Jasmine is so amazing because, like I was saying about my mother's emotional stuff that she had going on, for her tea tree was a perfect oil because it was all about setting up energetic boundaries. Jasmine is especially amazing for childbirth. I would always, you know, tell my mamas, when I was being a doula or teaching childbirth education, jasmine, neroli, these are very floral oils. These have been used, you know, since time immemorial for childbirth and for fertility, for sexuality, for femininity. But specifically, jasmine is really good at clearing and purifying your feelings about your own sexuality. So a lot of us, especially as women, we've had maybe, I'm not going to say trauma, but like experiences that when we look back on them, we're like, that didn't feel great, and I'm not happy about how that went down. There's a lot of minimizing that women do, and a lot of, you know, be nice, that kind of thing. And so as we get older, we can look back on things that we've done, or situations that we were in when we were younger, and we're like, we don't feel so good about that. And we hold that trauma in our physical bodies, in our cells. And jasmine is a wonderful oil to kind of help clear and release that kind of thing, and to reclaim ownership of, this is my body and these are my emotions and this is my sexuality and I'm allowed to feel powerful as a female. And so jasmine is really great for that. And it is also a natural aphrodisiac, but it's like, it's a purity kind of a feeling. Jasmine is great. You can put this on your neck, and you can also put it on your wrists, like all the way down to your elbows, and kind of, you know, rub that in. And it's a very kind of smoky floral. It's not this overwhelming, you know, intense floral. And frankincense pairs very well with jasmine. So together, that's a great combination for sleep, as well as for kind of returning to your sense of innocence and feeling, you know, feeling more positive about, this is me, this is my body, this is who I am. And for all the women out there, if you've ever read Women Who Run with the Wolves, jasmine oil kind of catches the flavor of that book, if that makes sense. And if you haven't read Women Who Run with the Wolves, go look it up, go hear about it. It's a life-changing read, especially for those of us who maybe weren't raised with powerful and strong female role models. That book is great for kind of healing the divine feminine, and I really feel like jasmine oil just goes so well with that. But again, I want to wrap it up here. I feel like I've talked about what I want to talk about, unless anybody has any questions for me. But like I said, if you want to get the jasmine for free, it's today only. I do think it might sell out, so you may want to get on the bandwagon quickly here. I can drop a link in the bottom of the comments here, which is my personal page of how to order oils. You can choose any enrollment kit, and you can buy the kit and then add the frankincense. The Jasmine Touch will automatically show up in your cart as a freebie. However, if you wanted to, you can also, you can just place an order as a customer. That's totally okay if you only want to make a smaller order. But I highly encourage you, especially like the price difference between wholesale and retail, it's better to buy the kit, become a member, get the wholesale discount. Because frankincense is one of the more expensive oils, but like I said, it's number one, top of the list. If you were on a deserted island and you had no other thing to take with you in terms of oils, frankincense is hands down the obvious choice. You got to have it in your house. So, like I said, you can sign up with a kit. I'll drop the options for the kits. There is an emotional aromatherapy kit, which, especially if all the stuff I'm talking about with intuition and kind of like healing your past is resonating with you, the emotional aromatherapy kit is going to be your go-to. It comes with a diffuser and it comes with 6 oil blends, all of which are freaking amazing. I can't get enough of Forgive. I actually have to reorder some of that myself, because they're just such phenomenal oils. And you can use they're all, there's Console, Forgive, Cheer, Passion, Motivate, and Peace. And basically, each of them are blended scientifically by, looking at the reactions in our brain, in our limbic system, that certain scents are connected with certain emotional states. They've done the research, found the chemical constituents that trigger those feelings, and then formulated the oils to match up with the feelings. So it's really, really cool stuff. And I'm super excited to be able to share more about emotional oils as I am writing about them. But you'll have to wait for the full deal on that. But if you want to enroll and get your free jasmine, get your frankincense touch and the emotional aromatherapy kit, that's a great way to do it. And you would also, if you do that, you'd get a free bottle of Copaiba, the one that I talked about with the past trauma healing and the bruising and muscle soreness. You'd also get a free bottle of Copaiba and a free bottle of Wild Orange. So that's 3 free oils if you buy the kit, the emotional aromatherapy kit, and the frankincense. It's a sweet deal. It's also confusing and complicated. I have a graphic. I'll drop it in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really happy that you're here, and I am super stoked about doTERRA, if you couldn't tell. Feel free to message me if you have any questions. I would love to talk to you. Bye.